Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have lots. So we have, hi Susan Cressy, this is Bettina. Sophie's here, hi Sophie. Janenka, I hope I've said that correct, from the Netherlands. We've got Jasmine, we've got hi Becky from the UK, I recognise, Jennifer from Canada, Jeanette from, again, the Netherlands, Susan, who's speaking later, from Denmark, and Janet. Hi, Janet from the UK, World Horse Welfare. We're dead on 8 o'clock. It's time to go. So I just wanted to say just a huge warm welcome to everybody. This is such a new and exciting project for all of us. So the fact that you're here, you've navigated something called AirMeet, which is a conference software that I really got involved with back in December. And Christine and I have done a few meetings in here for Horse Lovers Lounge. So this is our first ever conference. And I've really fused my passion of horse change and welfare and change and women, and I just thought, how gorgeous would it be to celebrate on International Women's Day all the work that equestrians are doing in changing horse welfare. So this is why today was born. I'm here for the long haul. So we start now. It's 8 o'clock in the UK, but it's good evening to you, Cristina, and welcome from Australia.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It's so exciting to be here, and what a great idea to organize this day, and what a feat that you are going to accomplish when you spend the whole day traveling all around the world, all the different time zones, as you speak to some pretty amazing women. I mean, the lineup is really exciting. So I'm thrilled that I was invited too. And I'm really pleased that I can launch the event with you. And I'm really looking forward to hearing from all the other women, fantastic horse women that are coming along to join the event.
Cristina, you've been pivotal, actually. I just want to celebrate you for 1 second before I want to do a little bit of housekeeping, so I'll get that over with. But one of the things that Cristina is responsible for is she's my thought partner, and we catch up a lot, and I dump my thoughts on Christina's ears, and she's always so kind and so generous and so creative with me. So I couldn't think of anyone else on today's schedule or at all that I want to start this epic day. So thank you, Cristina, for agreeing to be first up. Okay, I just want to, Cristina knows what's coming, because I just want to literally just flip my screen for everybody. I just want to share with you a little bit of housekeeping. I should say, while everyone's watching, today is the first day that my son is back at school. So my husband is essential to all what I do and how I create. So although this is all about women and celebrating women, I am passionate about equality, and I couldn't do what I'm doing even today without my husband, who has his normal day off from work, and he's taken our son to school. So looking forward to starting, just some new norm after this last 12 months have been extremely challenging. But the theme of International Women's Day is to choose to challenge. So what a great opportunity for us all to get together. So today I'm going to be celebrating all the women who are presenting their achievements for horses, and this is how they've impacted on horses, and we're going to dig in a minute with Cristina. But I wanted to give you 2 through lines, and the first through line is diversity. I am passionate about different and diverse opinions, diverse looks, diverse environments. And I really hope by the end of today, I will have achieved a space for us to be more diverse. You'll see presenters range from young women really right through to mature, experienced women who have absolutely drained every last drop of life out of their lives. So I'm just excited about the diverse lineup. I'm excited about you as diverse delegates at our conference. And the other word that I want us to take throughout the whole of today is agency. So last year I put on a workshop with Cristina as well on agency, equestrian agency. Today, I really want to focus on our own agency and to show up for horses with our own agency. And I'm going to dig into that more as the whole day goes on. But agency and diversity, I've presented those two words to you in International Women's Day because they are both versions of my two core values. One is curiosity. So that diversity allows me to dig into to be more curious with different and my own biases and my own rear view mirror, so I can get really dug into my own bias with curiosity. And the other core value for me is my freedom, and that is my freedom to find spaces to rest, to dig in. Like, it's really important that I show up in my own agency or in my own freedom. So that's what we're going to notice hopefully throughout today. I thought this would be really, well, this was inspired actually from the gorgeous presenters throughout today, the whole team of international women presenters. So I asked all the presenters, you know, what female charities could we support from today's conference? And we've come up with this idea of paying support forwards. So if you get anything from today, all our speakers have gifted their time. If you would like to pay the support you're going to get from today from the speakers forwards, there are 3 charities all run by women. One in Israel called Starting Over Sanctuary, led by Sharon Cohen, who's in the top right with the donkey and equines. Rowan Wood Stable in Nova Scotia in Canada. This is the team to the far right. And also the Hillview Animal Refuge in southern India. Now, we're going to hear a little bit about the Hillview Animal Refuge at 10 o'clock, actually, with Dr. Kate Fenner. But if you feel like you are wanting to gift support forwards after today's conference, then please head to these spaces on social media. So, quick tour of what's happening. We've got a reception, which I think you can see across the top bar. If you are not sure what the schedule looks like, please head to this icon here. It's called Sessions. Go to the sessions and you can add the ones that you want to join. However, you might prefer not to come and join us in a live session and instead have a message with the delegate and meet them on a table. The tables are numbered, but I've also named them. This is where we're going to meet each other. You see each other and we get to actually connect with each other. The last little icon across the top is Arena. This is where our sponsors have got a space for you. So I've got times, actually. I know that quite a few of us will be on the arenas, in the booth, in the arena. But if you want to head to see Equitation Science International, Sophie will be with us at 9:45. So go to the Equitation Science International booth for 15 minutes there. And then we've got Sophie joining us this evening in the UK at 7:45 and 8:45. So thank you for doing that, Sophie. You can catch up with Sophie from ESI. And in these booths, you can meet like-minded people. When you take a seat, if you go into, say, espresso, I have my members, they'll be hopping into the booth. Take a seat at cappuccino, latte, macchiato, and you can meet and you can see who's at the table and you can chat about espresso, all the features, or just have a good catch up. Throughout today, there is a live chat. So please, please, please engage with the speakers. You can chat with each other. You can send direct messages. If you want to ask a question, you click on this icon. It's lit up on my screen in white. And from there, post your question and I will circle back to answer your question. That's my intention. If there's this huge flow of questions, I'll do my best to work through them. We might take the questions onto into the social lounge and discuss them there. Raised hands is such an exciting feature for me. Because of COVID, I'm a little bit over screen time. One of the things that I'm really enjoying about this platform, AirMeet, is when you raise a hand, I can invite you up on stage and we can actually see you. You can share your question with us. So I'm really excited if you wish to do that feature. You can do live reactions. Go for it now. Have a go for it. So if you look on the smiley face icon on your screen, you can send blue love hearts. You can do thumbs up, laughing emojis, sad emojis, all range of emotions. Of course, this is about respecting each other. I know I don't need to say this, but I thought it'd be quite nice to share that AirMeet is passionate about boundaries, that we actually show up in a way that supports each other. If you feel there is a chat comment that I might even miss that actually isn't healthy, or it is not in the actual spirit of today's International Women's Day, you can report that comment and I have choices. So again, my agency, I can remove the post and I can block the user. So in terms of learning theory, I can really make it consequential for how we choose to show up. Just my last slide before we go. Remember, if you get any value from today, please think about paying your support forwards and donating to any of these 3 charities. And that's it. Over to you, Cristina. We've opened International Women's Day 2021. There we go.
Thank you, Lisa. It's such an exciting platform, this AirMeet. It has so many interesting features, and I love the fact that it can be interactive. So I'm really hoping that everyone can ask questions and that we can share stories and we can just have conversations, which is, I think, what's been missing in the last few years, is just having really good conversations with people rather than little short bites of information. So I'm hoping that today we can celebrate International Women's Day in a very special way. I think probably for me, one of the really interesting things, or one of the aspects of a question. Hello, Lisa. Did I lose you?
Yeah, I did that. So just having a little bit of navigation, I thought I'd turn my audio off. Sorry, Cristina. As always, I'm flawed. So thank you for putting up with me. Right, I'm off the sorry.
No, that's all right. That's fine. Please come back and we can have a chat. So, okay, so I was saying that one of the things that I find really interesting about being in the horse world and contrasting the horse world with International Women's Day, it is one of the very few sports where women and men compete on the same platform. So I think that's quite important for us all as horsewomen. We are very unique. We've had very unique upbringings, especially if we've been brought up riding horses from a young age. Very unique for young girls to be competing and training and performing on the same level as with boys. So we have a unique perspective of what it is, what equality looks like, or whether it does exist. So I think that's a really interesting aspect of us reflecting on International Women's Day and on the contribution that women make to horse sports and to horse welfare.
Okay. So Cristina, we're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna keep bouncing between us. I just wanted to have a little experiment. I wanted to put you up on stage. I got a photograph. So that was me messing around. I'm gonna behave myself now. Well, Not for long, I don't think. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got a few resources here. I think, we've got your bio. We don't know who you are. Absolutely, go over to the session, have a look at your bio. But what I wanted to talk with you about in our slot today is really your story. And I'm holding the latest edition of what I believe to be the best horse-centered magazine in the world. So, I don't say that lightly. And although we've known each other a long time, and I'm not going to bore everyone with how we first met, but I do want to hear your story. Like, can you take us through how you have got to today being the editor and the creation behind what I believe is the best horse-centered magazine in the world?
Thank you for that. And my story is a story of a mad horse girl that grew up actually in Spain. I am Spanish, so I'm from Madrid. And I grew up in a world where horse riding, now I've got words for it. I was really in a military background and in a bravery culture. So when I started riding horses as a very small child, I was expected to ride a big horse, and I was expected to just learn to get on with it, basically, and join lesson groups. And I was quite a frightened kid, and my mother actually bought me a pony, and she imported the pony from the UK to Madrid. It was the first pony to ever arrive at the horse riding club where there were probably around 80 or 90 horses there, and none of the horses had ever seen a horse that size. And it was actually quite hilarious, the reactions of all horses. They were all bolting and spooking, and they didn't know what it was. But it was really interesting for me because my upbringing basically was one of breaking barriers, of doing things differently, and trying to just think outside the square and bring in ideas in from outside. So that's the background that I grew up in. And I was really lucky to have mentors, riding instructors that were open to those ideas. And so I had a privileged background, because I never felt constrained by the traditions. I never felt that this was the only way to do it. There was always options. I think probably my first idol when I was growing up, when I was a young teenager, would have been Lucinda Green. And I always remember she used to write in a horse magazine called Riding, and we were subscribers to that magazine, and we'd always pick it up and always read her article. And the thing that struck me about her articles was that she was always blaming herself for any mistakes horses made. So again, that was a really good background for me to always think that we could do better, and that if our horses weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, that it was probably our fault, and that we needed to find ways.
Cristina, we love engagement. Can I just pause and break out a fraction? We've got an event feed here. If you want to use the chat, everyone, we've just heard that your role model actually was Lucinda Green, because she had the ability, and you and I call this, we now have language for this, it's innovism. And she turned the spotlight on herself rather than projecting it onto the horse. So has anybody else got somebody that, as they were sort of growing up, a role model that has really sort of stayed with them? Because I think the fact that you can intersect Lucinda into your story has meaning. That's for you, it's got a place of meaning, that she was the first woman equestrian with innovism.
That's exactly right. And I think we all she was very encouraging of that attitude as well. So she always used to make us think about what we were doing. And it was really foreign in terms of the culture that I was growing up with, the equestrian culture I was growing up with. All the instructors at the riding club were military officers. So they were used to being able to just bark orders and people just do what they're told. So it was a really interesting upbringing that I think marked my whole career, really my whole way of thinking. And yes, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm here.
Yeah, look, one of the things that you do that I don't see anybody else doing, so this is where you bring for me such richness, is how you choose to come and fuse science and story. So if we go into our magazine, like I've got my copy here, how you work with your contributors, you are the editor. So can you unpack a bit for us about how you're sort of showing up for horses and welfare through curating the stories that we read? Like, that's something that's so exciting for me.
When I took over the magazine Horses and People, I was taking over. I was starting a job that I didn't really know that I could do. So I didn't have a background in editing or journalism as such. I had grown up as an equestrian coach. I had been an event rider at an international level. So I had that coaching background for myself. And I think that was one of the first things that I put into use is, what would I like a magazine to teach me? You know, what would I like to learn in a horse magazine? Other dogs bothering, other dogs interfering with.
What I'm going to do, what, carry on if you need. Can I just do a quick poll? I'm just going to show everybody what I can do. Are the dogs bothering you? I'm going to answer the question.
I'm going to close. I'll close the gate. I'll close the door. Hang on.
Enter question here. Are the dogs no, up here bothering? Right, now go. Let's watch this.
Nothing like Zoom. Yeah, working from home, isn't there? There's not babies, it's puppies. Yeah.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. So I've got results are in. 80 say no, they're not bothering. Oh, this changing. This is gorgeous. So this is what I wanted to show everybody in our conference space. We can do quick polls like this. Are the dogs bothering us? Some people are answering it. Here it comes. There's still the results coming in. The chat's really quiet at the moment. So this is something that we can really start to build up a conversation between us all. Voting. Okay. So I just want to sort of, I want to recognise your bravery. I want to recognise your courage when you pick articles, I think, that are outliers. You pick people who have stories that perhaps the current climate do not want to hear, or perhaps that is going to challenge all of us. So, that takes courage. I see your courage. Can you talk us through sort of how you've managed to become the editor that takes head on horse welfare challenges?
That was a very definite moment in my life. Well, I have to actually thank and mention, of course, Dr. Andrew McLean and The Truth About Horses, which when I moved across the world from Europe, and I went to live in New Zealand, and then I moved to Australia. One of the jobs that I was doing is translating books. And one time I received this book in the mail. It was 2004, I think. I received a book in the mail, and it was The Truth About Horses from my publisher in Spain, who said, translate this into Spanish. And I started translating the book, and it just completely threw me into pieces, because all of a sudden, all the things that I had been doing, all my experiences, everything, all the puzzle pieces just fell into place. And I could understand all the horses in my past, all the mistakes, all the training issues, all the failures, and all the successes as well. And I could make sense. So that was my first thing with equitation science. Later on, I took over being the editor of Horses and People magazine in 2009, which coincided with the ISIS conference happening in Sydney, which is where I met you. And I went to the conference with my business partner at the time, and at that meeting I just decided this had to be the editorial guideline for the magazine. We had to talk about this. Nobody was talking about equitation science or about behavior or about this type of research into horse-human interactions anywhere else, and we had to do it. So that was the first thing. But I think really the thing that distinguishes Horses and People magazine, which was not necessarily planned, but it was the way that it made sense to me, is that it's constructive journalism. So it's not just pointing out the problems, but actually finding the people that have ideas, that have solutions, that might be able to bring something to the table and to change things or make things better where there is a problem. So I've never been into the sensationalist approach.
No. Okay, that's something we really ought to probably put a spotlight on. It's going to happen all day anyway as we go through this, and that is solutions. I think all the women, all your through line is solutions, and the fact that you had the epiphany at the International Society for Equitation Science conference. I was there in Sydney. It's how we met, and I think there are some key originals, and in there is Professor Natalie Warren and Dr. Debbie Goodwin with Dr. Andrew McLean and Professor Paul McGreevy. Now, they are what I call the originals, and they've been able to give us this foundation to have a voice for horses. I think one of the things that you've done for all of us is you have fused science and story. So just tell us a bit more about that journalism and how you're bringing out story through science or science through story, because it's quite a delicate, nuanced relationship. Tell us more.
I think it just happens organically because, to be honest, there are so many fantastic horse people in the world. And through the equitation science conferences, I've been able to connect with a lot of people that are like-minded and have a similar approach. Let's face it, I mean, equitation science researchers are looking for solutions. They're looking at problems, but they're not just pinpointing problems, they're finding ways forward, or they're suggesting ways forward, or they're suggesting the areas that we need to more information on, more research on. So the ISIS conference have been really important to me, and as you say, the core ISIS people, being able to speak to them on the level and to find that we share so many things in common. And of course, they're so generous with their time. All those core founders of the society, most of them who are now fellows of the society, and they've also been in presidential roles or in committee roles within the society. It's been incredible to have personal access, and to build relationships and to build friendships and collaborations with all these people. So it's been such a learning curve. I've enjoyed every step of the way.
Okay. You're gorgeously appreciating everyone else, but come on, you and I, we do hard conversations, don't we? So
we sure do.
We sure do. Come on, let's do this. We've got about 15 minutes before this session ends. I think you and I should pick up the hard conversation about this construct that just the data itself, the science, the going through the process of research changes horse welfare. It's beautifully naive. It's exquisitely out of touch. The more data we have does not transfer to optimal horse welfare. Now, you're an editor of a magazine that does the translation of the science, and you're also your relationships with the scientists are everything. But without you translating for horse lovers what it actually means for horses, I think the scientists are not solving problems. That's the hard conversation we should be having. Over to you.
Good on you. That is true, and I have been on just a massive learning curve, having to curate the content for the magazine and hearing feedback from people as to what they understand and what they can't make sense of, and trying to find ways to, and that's probably more of a coaching background that comes through as well, is, okay, we've got this information, but how do we make people understand it? So trying to be creative, come with creative ideas of whether we can bring in that same knowledge, but in different ways. Not everybody absorbs the information in the same way, and people are at different levels. So I think, no, science doesn't, knowing more facts is not going to take you, not going to provide you all the solutions. And I think the part that's really exciting for me now is I am starting to get really interested in human psychology and human culture, and where people are at and where people come from, and how do we make decisions? Because I think one of the things that's happened with horse welfare is we've got information from equitation scientists, and then we've got this movement now called human behavior change for welfare, and they're looking at the psychology of change. But I think we're missing a really important piece, which is culture, and how people actually make decisions. So that's my next frontier, is to really delve into how do we make decisions, because it's all very good having the knowledge, and it's all very good knowing that knowledge, with new knowledge, you might implement, you might behave differently, you might implement change, but actually there's a lot more going on that is influencing our ability to do that jump from having the knowledge to actually changing our behavior. And that piece is really exciting for me. It's a new frontier, and I'm really wanting to delve into it.
Cristina, I can feel that energy, I can feel that passion. And do you know what it really does solve? At the end of every conference with equitation science, so the ISIS conference, always the same questions, always. And at the end of the conference, it's always, that's all good and well, but how do we actually bridge the gap between science and horses? And it's like every year, same questions. And I think we're missing this nugget. We're missing that we are the gateway to horse welfare and all our nuances. And you mentioned decision-making, culture. We talk about our morals. We talk about the ability to step into our own belonging, our own connection, and belonging to ourselves. All of this is going to unfold today. But Cristina, you're really setting it up that actually data is fantastic, but it's just a data point. We get to decide what we do with that. And therefore, we are not only the problem for horses, but we're also the solution. So, Cristina, that was brilliant. Go on, over to you.
Well, Gail Ecker has actually asked a question. She says, there are some scientists, researchers that don't feel their role is to reach out to the public, and they want to leave that to others. So she's asking me, how do I balance that in writing when reporting on more than the facts? And I think it's a really good question, because I think that's where my coaching background comes in, and also my knowledge of the industry and having been an observer. So I'm quite an introverted person, and I spend a lot of time in the UK as a young rider and a young eventer, absorbing information. I felt like I was there to just look and listen and see what the top people were doing. And I absorbed a lot of information, and a lot of the information that I absorbed is what was also the gaps, where things don't make any sense. I'm not the most natural, talented rider in the world, but I achieved really good levels I became a really good rider because I had to think of everything. I had to really get a feel for everything. I needed to know where the legs were. I needed to know where my body needed to be. And then having to also coach it to other people, it's given me a really interesting perspective that then when you bring me new facts, I seem to be able to, obviously, I'm sure I don't always get it right, but I seem to be able to see which bits are going to be relevant to people, which bits are going to be unintelligible to them, which bits are going to resonate, and what examples we might take. So when I'm working with my contributors, because it's really important to know that also Horses and People magazine is all built by, the articles are all written by external contributors, but I work with them on those topics. And some of the articles, there's a lot of to and fro with the contributors, where we are trying to figure out ways of dealing with difficult topics in a way that people will understand and that'll resonate.
And that's what makes you pioneering. I mean, you really are walking the wilderness of shaping science and story. I've just put a poll out. Please, 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 if you're watching, and there's quite a few with us already, and it's just the start of International Women's Day. I've just put a poll out about, is story, and I mean meaningful storytelling, the missing intersection in the science for basically improving horse welfare? And we've got 100% back yes. Do you want to read the next question out? Shall we have a look at it? It's up to you.
Yes, Linda's getting into interesting territory here. She says what Christina's talking about is awesome. Controversially, the horse industry has been known to be a little judgmental, just a little. Could the cultural piece and human behavior welfare change help to reduce judgment? Well, I hope so. And I think probably my latest learning is that we're not going to fix everything for every horse, and that the real lesson and the real success is for more of us to understand that it's not about one ideology or belief or system to win over another, but both systems and beliefs, even if they are opposing, balancing each other and having a healthy tug of war between them. Because we can't just they call it throwing the baby out with the bathwater, don't they? We can't all just jump off tradition and go into science and fact and measuring and this. We have to. The tradition is there. The traditional knowledge is there to help us find the balance. We're not going to be able to measure everything. Some of it we know because we have been around horses for thousands of years. So it's the ability to see the success as balance rather than winning, one system winning over the other. That's my hope, that if more of us can see things like that, we'll be less judgmental, and we will be able to have more fruitful discussions and have difficult discussions, but not discussions where we're just trying to win over the other person. We know that's not possible. You just can't keep throwing arguments at people and expect to win them over. You have to understand them.
Linda, is a gorgeous comment. I don't know if you'd be willing to be brave for us. If you were knit across to raised hands and just raise your hand and you want to, I will hop you up on stage, because I just think this is what I'm getting at with having these conversations. Like Linda's brought in about horse justice and how we show up as the prosecutor and we become the supreme justice and it's judging others. And actually, we're just unable, when we show up as the prosecutor, we shut down optimizing horse welfare. Like, it is always what happens. So, Linda, if you're up for it, I know it's a big ask because maybe, you're in your COVID attire, but any of you, like, this is the perfect opportunity. Linda had a really great contribution. I would like us to, if you want to come up on stage and join us, I know Christina's all up for it. We've got about 6 minutes left before we will close the first of the sessions of today. And Cristina said she would just ebb and flow with me for this first 45 minutes. So we've got a few comments coming in. Cristina, shall I ask a question to you so you can listen? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Cristina, thank you, Lorna from University Centre Sparsholt. Cristina, do you think that equitation scientists alienate horse owners due to the language? Oh, thank you, Lorna. Lorna, you want to come up on stage by all means? And who else? There's another one. Oh, lovely. We're getting nice chat. See, there's a couple of things I just want to explain about the structure of AirMe. Chats, absolutely. Lorna, if you pop questions into Q&A, I get notified. I can still see them. And again, we've got a raised hand. I'm a little bit excited. Bear with me, everyone. Lorna's coming up on stage. Let's have Lorna come up on stage. Hang on a second. Hand her the mic. You don't mind, do you, Cristina?
No, absolutely. Brilliant.
You just put up with me, to be fair. Here we go. Here she is.
Hiya.
Hi, we can't see you. Come on.
I don't know. My camera, it says my camera is on. There we go.
Oh, there it is. Hello.
Good. Nice. It's lovely. Okay. Go on then, Laura. Make your, in your own words, explain your question.
Well, I just wondered, because Christina's kind of picking up on some things that I'm really passionate about. Do you think I've been at lots of ISIS conferences where some practitioner has asked a question and been slightly squashed for not using the correct language or etc. And I just wondered, do you think that the equitation scientists, all of us, all of us included, we use the wrong language because we're not engaging people, and we can't be cross with people for not getting engaged if we're not doing the communicating?
Over to you, Cristina.
Well, absolutely. And I don't know that the question is so much about the language equitation scientists use, but having that welcoming attitude and acting as educators rather than preachers, so that when we are communicating, I think one of the challenges that ISIS has, which is a massive challenge, is that the conferences are scientific conferences and they're open to the public. And the practitioners come in expecting it to be like a clinic or like a learning opportunity, and not understanding that the scientific conference environment is quite different. And so there's a little bit of a mismatch there of expectations. So I have to say that definitely we could all be more welcoming and be much more mindful of not shaming people for not being at the same level that we are, or not knowing the same things that we know. And that's, we can all do better at that, because I'm sure we've all been in situations where we might have done it inadvertently, and we might have done it without meaning, or just because we didn't think about it. So I think they are two different things. What equitation scientists, I love equitation science language because it is much more precise, and I like precise language. I like language to be descriptive and precise, and when I say a word, I want people to understand what I mean. I don't want it to be interpreted in different ways. So I love equitation science language, and maybe what's been missing is that attitude of trying to bring people into that language and teaching them the language and embracing their lack of language as something that that is okay, and that we just need to help people with. I think that seeing the value of it.
Can I just put another through line for this, Lorna, as well? And that is, like, I've in the last 12 months, because I've been in lockdown and not able to do face-to-face coaching, I've used that time to expand my bandwidth of language. So I have been consuming diverse resources through things like podcasts and books. And I think my language has because I've been living a more diverse life, my language has already had the bandwidth expanded. And now I feel like I can sit really comfortably with people's emotions. And we're going to come on to it today, our moral outrage at what we see and what we hear and I think when you've got this language to sit in that space between a stimulus and a response, which, you know, is well documented by Viktor Frankl, and the understanding that if we can just pause in that space, and, you know, this whole, what language comes out my mouth could be perhaps more inclusive. And, you know, we've just had some comments. Lovely Jasmine has said balance instead of winning. You know, what if our language was just, what if we just dropped one-upmanship, or what if we could just be in that space for horses? Now, I have no idea whether, you know, like, the jury's out for me, by the way. I think you'll find that out throughout the whole of today, whether we're going to actually become like scholarly in our outlook rather than prosecutors. So what a great way to wrap up our first session, Lorna. I think your question and just being able to come and join us on stage. Any last comments from you, Lorna, before we wrap up our first slot?
No, thanks. That was great. Thank you very much.
We're going to see your gorgeous face in a couple of hours. Well, in an hour and a bit. We'll see you soon, Lorna. I'm going to pop you off the stage. Thank you for coming up and being a pioneer. It's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
Thank you, Lorna.
Okay, so anything else to wrap up, Cristina? Is there anything you'd like to just sort of leave us with, your final sort of sharing of anything you'd like to sort of see in future International Women's Day, perhaps?
I think this is fantastic. I'm really looking forward to hearing from all the other women and all the diverse conversations that you're going to have, because I'm sure you're going to explore lots and lots of different topics. So thank you so much for having me. And thanks, everyone. You've been awesome. I love the questions. And yeah, it's 25 people on. It's brilliant. It's fantastic. Oh, it's great.
All the love for you. All these new hearts, lots of claps. Okay, everyone. We've got our first break. This is really important to me. I value rest. I'm going to go and get myself a coffee. We're going to be back up with Dr. Kate Fenner starting dead on 10 o'clock. In the meantime, all the booths are open, so you can hop into a booth. Cristina, would you like to go over to your booth and they can come and chat to you on a table?
I'm going to be at my booth after Kate's presentation, if that's all right. Yep.
Yes, it is.
So I'm going to be there. I'm going to listen to Kate's presentation, and then after that, I'll be on my booth. Yep, my booth. Yes. Got you.
Go to Arena, have a look around the booth. Menka's here. I think she'll be there to go and talk to you on a table. The booths give you instant, like this, you can hop on a table and chat. The other thing you can do is go into the social lounge, hop on a table and chat to everyone. Introduce yourselves. I'm going to go and get myself a coffee, and I'm going to end this session, end this recording, and I'll see you up on stage shortly. Thank you so much, Cristina.
Thank you very much. Bye.